Have you ever started something with hope, only to quit when things became hard? Maybe you tried learning a skill, but progress felt slow. Maybe you chased a dream, but rejection came faster than results. Or maybe life knocked you down so many times you began to wonder if getting back up was even worth it. We live in a world that celebrates talent, that praises overnight success, that highlights the winners. But what rarely gets attention is persistence, the quiet decision to keep going when nobody claps, when nothing changes, when quitting feels easier. What if I told you that persistence, not talent, is the real separator between ordinary lives and extraordinary ones? Today, I want to tell you the story of a man who refused to quit. A man with no advantages, no shortcuts, no guarantees, yet persistence transformed his life. Stay with me, because this story might change how you face your next obstacle. In a modest apartment on the outskirts of a busy city lived a 31-year-old man named Adrian. Adrian wasn't remarkable. He didn't come from wealth. He didn't have elite connections. He didn't possess extraordinary skills. He worked at a small electronics repair shop, fixing broken devices for modest pay. Every morning, he opened the store. Every evening, he closed it. Routine, predictable, safe. But inside, Adrian felt restless. He watched others move forward, friends launching businesses, colleagues earning promotions, people his age building lives that seemed meaningful. Meanwhile, he felt stuck in place. One night, walking home under dim streetlights, he whispered, "Is this all my life will be?" Adrian had always loved technology, not just fixing devices, building them, designing them, understanding how systems worked. His dream was simple: to become a software developer, to create something meaningful, to contribute to the digital world instead of watching from the sidelines. But there was a problem. He had tried before. Online courses started, then abandoned. Coding tutorials unfinished. Practice projects forgotten. Every time things became confusing or difficult, he quit. Not because he didn't care, but because frustration overwhelmed him. And over time, he convinced himself of a dangerous lie. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. One rainy afternoon, the repair shop was empty. Adrian sat behind the counter, scrolling through his phone. He stumbled across a short interview with an entrepreneur. The interviewer asked, "What's the secret to your success?" The entrepreneur replied calmly, "I wasn't the smartest, I wasn't the fastest learner, I was simply the last one who refused to quit." That sentence lingered. Refused to quit. It echoed through Adrian's mind long after the video ended. He realized something uncomfortable. He had never truly failed. He had simply stopped. That evening, Adrian made a decision, not to become brilliant, not to become famous, not even to succeed immediately. Just one commitment: I will not quit. He reopened his coding course and started again. The first night, 30 minutes. Confusing, slow, frustrating, but he didn't stop. The second night, another session. Mistakes everywhere. Still, he didn't stop. The third night, progress felt invisible, yet he showed up. Persistence wasn't exciting, it wasn't dramatic. It was quiet repetition, and repetition became momentum. 3 weeks later, Adrian hit his first major wall, a programming concept he couldn't understand. Hours passed, nothing clicked. Old thoughts returned. You're wasting time. You're not talented enough. Quit. He closed his laptop, sat silently, then remembered his promise, not to be perfect, just persistent. He reopened the laptop, kept working, and 2 days later, understanding arrived. Not suddenly, but steadily. That victory changed something inside him. He realized persistence turns confusion into clarity. Months passed. Adrian studied daily, sometimes 1 hour, sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes exhausted, sometimes discouraged, but always consistent. He wasn't chasing motivation, he was building discipline. Eventually, small wins appeared: his first working script, his first completed project, his first solved problem without help. These weren't world-changing achievements, but they were proof that persistence works. Not everyone understood. Friends questioned him. "You're still studying that? Is it even worth it? Why not focus on a real career?" Even his co-workers laughed lightly. Adrian smiled politely, but inside, he held on to one truth: persistence is often lonely before it becomes respected. He continued, quietly. After nearly a year of effort, Adrian applied for an entry-level developer role. He was rejected, then rejected again, and again, 5 times. Each rejection hurt. Each one tested his resolve. But this time, he didn't quit. He improved his portfolio, refined his skills, applied again. On the 8th attempt, he received an interview. Not because he was exceptional, but because he was prepared through persistence. The interview wasn't perfect. He stumbled on questions, struggled explaining concepts, but something stood out: his dedication. His portfolio showed effort, growth, commitment, a willingness to learn. A week later, he received the call. He got the job. Entry-level, modest pay, but life-changing. Adrian sat quietly after the call ended, not celebrating wildly, just reflecting. Persistence had opened a door talent alone never could. Adrian didn't stop growing. He kept learning, kept improving, kept showing up. 3 years later, he was leading development projects, mentoring others, building products used by thousands. People began to call him successful. Some called him gifted. Some called him lucky. Adrian knew better. Luck didn't study nightly. Luck didn't endure rejection. Luck didn't persist through doubt. Persistence did. One evening, Adrian revisited the repair shop. He looked around, the place where he once felt trapped, and he smiled, because nothing magical happened, no sudden breakthrough, no miracle shortcut, just persistence. My friend, here is the truth. Persistence is not dramatic. It's quiet. It looks like trying again when progress is invisible, learning when confused, continuing when discouraged, standing when exhausted. Persistence outlasts talent, outworks luck, outgrows fear, and eventually it wins. So here's my question to you. What have you been close to quitting? A skill? A goal? A dream? A habit? Before you walk away, try persistence instead. Show up tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Even imperfect effort compounds, because success rarely belongs to the fastest. It belongs to the one who stayed. Adrian wasn't special. He simply refused to quit, and that decision changed everything. Your future doesn't depend on perfection. It depends on persistence. So tell me, will you stop when it gets difficult, or will you continue until it becomes possible? The choice is yours, and it begins today. If this story inspired you, hit like as your commitment. Comment what goal you refuse to quit on. Share this with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe for more mindset stories that transform lives. Remember, persistence isn't loud, persistence isn't glamorous, but persistence builds legends.